welcome everyone to the Watchlist, your virtual weekly TV guide right here on the Latin Nerds Network, ready to talk about all the shows and films that get released on streaming, give you our best recommendations, and of course, at the end of the show, letting you know what's coming out so you too can create your very own watch list. Here with me, of course, to discuss these wonderful, wonderful shows, and I'm using that term incredibly loosely, is one Senor Jaime, aka Chewy. What it is, what it was, what it shall be.
Hey, brother, what's going on?
Not much. It's gonna be a short, easy show today. It wasn't a big week of releases. We're not doing a show next week. I will be out of town.
Oh, we're not?
I will be
Oh,
out of town. I thought you were gonna be out of town too, but either way.
no, I am not. I am here, so I can do a show
Oh, you,
without you. Don't
oh,
forget you.
you'll be back by the time that we would have done the show. That's what it was.
No, I'm not leaving till next Tuesday and come back Saturday, so you're kind of way
Oh, I
out,
thought you were
brother.
going for Memorial Weekend. Okay.
No.
Well, either way.
I'll be here.
Oh, well, I won't be here, so we're not doing a show this week. Next week.
So, Eric, call me up. I can do nurse fitting with
You
you.
go. You can do
Forget my
nurse
brother.
training. I can still do nurse training. But that
Ah,
being said,
so,
we're not gonna have a show next week. So either way, we'll let you know what's coming out. I know Chewy probably watched most of the shows. I won't get to them, maybe one or two, and if they're that good, we'll bring them up in a couple weeks and all that. There's two that I'm kind of looking forward to and all that. We'll get to that in a minute. But either way, but that being said, I also won't be here to announce that I thought he was not going to be here, Chewy, on the way because it was his birthday. It's his birthday next weekend. Kind of. Well, close after next weekend. Either way,
Sunday? Yeah, Sunday, right?
landmark, yeah,
Yeah.
landmark birthday for you. I won't say the exact number that landmark is, but it's a landmark number, big number, big.
No whammies.
But
No whammies.
that being said, happy early birthday for now. But let's get to it. Let's get to it this week, to this week and all that, And we'll start off with the show, which ended. It's a 8 episode or a 10 episode run. Um, a couple of shows ended. Only one I really want to kind of dive into a little bit, and that's Mrs. Davis on Peacock, a show that
Ah,
we both liked when the first 3 or 4 episodes were dropped. Very unconventional, and I appreciated that. A very interesting and unique story, to say the least, and told in an unconventional way. Out there and kooky and all that, but it seemed to be something deeper into what they were trying to get into in the first place. A lot of religion, a lot of faith-based stuff. Basically, you have a woman who's a nun who gets recruited by this artificial intelligence, just kind of, for the most part, runs the show, right? For good, not for evil, nothing like that. So the AI is doing the best for humanity and such, and uses people and rewards them for their acts. And she, tasks her to find the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail. I guess Indiana Jones never got it. They lied to us in those films. So apparently there's another Holy Grail out
well,
there.
no, they lost it in
Well,
the
they lose it,
warehouse
but it went
somewhere.
underground, so
Storage.
that's fine. But
Oh no, that's not the Holy Grail. I'm sorry, that's the Ark of the
no,
Covenant.
no,
My
wait.
bad. My
No, no,
bad.
no, no, Holy Grail, they had it, but then they left.
No, they had it and it
Yeah,
fell
fell
into
to
the
the
chasm.
whole
Yeah.
thing. They crossed the barrier, whatever. Neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
chosen wisely.
He chose wisely, but didn't finish the job. But that being said, so kookiness ensues after that. So Chewy, we'll start with you. What you think about its run? How did it end? Because for me, I always said it's going to depend on how the show ends and how I feel about it at the end of the day, right?
Mm.
So how did it end for you? Is this one still what people should watch?
I think it had a satisfying ending, a very unexpected ending, uh, to say the least. And that maybe it's typical Lindelof and his storytelling mythology. This is a show, either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. I don't think there's anything in between, just because in the manner that he chooses to portray the story, the characters are out there. There's a couple of characters that are just great. The Australian guy is just
Yeah,
he's gold,
it's
dude.
fantastic.
Um, the leader of the resistance. But I mean, I loved the when we got into the father, right?
Okay. Yo, just keep it spoiler free.
And
But yeah. And
well,
that's not a
no,
spoiler.
I mean his story. I'm not saying his
No, of
story that
course,
he
of
was
course.
removed and he got found,
Sure.
and his whole how all these stories are connected was very interesting. That one, I mean, I
Yeah.
love the explanation of Jesus, right, and how he was there in that metaphysical world, and that was great. That's the stuff that I really like. Lot of twists and turns, and we started off with first, we think it's a flashback to the
Oh, okay.
to October 13th Templar, and it's not. The way I was like,
Yeah.
okay, it's a commercial. Beautiful for a British night. Like, oh, those are old school. I know
BKs, baby.
some 80s,
BKs.
yeah, 80s or 90s tennis shoes and BKs. But but I think this is a very divisive show. Because it's they don't do a whole lot of world building, right? You have to go on a lot of faith in here, and no pun intended,
Fair.
which is the kind of the basis of the show as well. But if you are willing to forgive that, I think that the story and the way it tells it and the theme and what it's trying to tell is very relevant, very on point.
I'm I'm still on it. I'm still recommending it. The ending was it closed loops and it ended the way I think it should have
Yes.
ended. It was
Mhm.
a gamble with this whole I'll leave it at Buffalo Wild Wings thing. I was just interesting and funny, but maybe it just wasn't what I was expecting, right? You probably were expecting more out of what was going
No,
on. So that was an interesting way to kind
no,
of,
no.
you know,
But that was in line with what the
no,
show was
agreed,
giving you.
absolutely. So it,
I
it fit,
mean,
which is why, yeah, yeah.
everything from
It's not like it didn't make sense.
with
It fit what the story did,
yeah.
so it was interesting. It's
Mhm.
just you were kind of hoping for something a little more than that, right? But it was still cool. I did like the way it ended. You're right. This is one where you're gonna be. Like I said, I say watch the first couple episodes. I give it a shot because I think some people are really gonna like this show, right? And you're right, others gonna hate it. But I would say yes, watch a couple. If it seems like your cup of tea, it's gonna end well enough to it's like it made the journey worth it, right?
Mhm.
Because this really could have fallen
And it
apart.
is quite a journey
It is a journey. This could have fallen apart, yeah,
from
very badly.
the inside of a whale to find the
Yeah,
shrine
it's
to that who can hold the sword the longest competition.
it's I guess it's a very odd show in a good way, and I like that. I really do.
Yeah,
And it ended well
yeah.
enough. I'll say that. I think it ended great, but it ended well enough to say give it a shot.
Mhm.
Give it a couple episodes. If it seems like your cup of tea, then yeah, you're gonna be satisfied with the ending, right? It didn't ruin the show at all by any stretch of the imagination. It's just
Mhm.
again, it raises a lot of questions and expectations, and it's interesting the route they chose to take. And I'll leave it at that. Not that it's hard to talk about. Not saying too much, but yeah, it's a recommend. And definitely one of the most unique shows of the year, easily one of the most. And I think just it's worthy to see, just to give it a shot, just because of that.
No, not the best,
Not the
but
best, the most
unique.
unique. Yeah, don't get it
Yes,
twisted.
very
Very
unique.
unique and unconventional show, which I like. It's cool to see this in different strokes, different folks, right? Something different on air, and I appreciate that. And it's good enough to where okay, it wasn't just unconventional for the sake of being unconventional, right?
Mhm.
It didn't make sense. It did wrap up well and it tied in and right. But for the Wild Wings, it's silly how that introduced, but it worked for the show. I guess hard to explain to get into without it, but I'll
Look,
leave it at
that
that.
whole
But,
scene,
yeah.
I was
I mean, it's
rolling there because it
funny.
seemed
Yeah.
like you see wings in the background. The table's all serious. He's trying to put out this vision. uh, uh,
Yeah, it's
we're Buffalo
it's
Wild Wings.
interesting. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that 'cause, like it's hard to get into without spoiling it, so I won't. So they just show you better off seeing fresh as possible. But I'll give it a shot. Definitely have the most unique show of the year, no doubt about it. New stuff. Let's get to the new stuff, Chewy. Let's get to the. There's one movie.
But what was
Oh,
the other one that ended that we didn't want to talk about?
I didn't think it was worth it. A big door prize on Apple Plus, and then
No, that
yeah,
you know what? I don't like that show.
yeah.
It's a
Like I
pass.
said,
It is
it
it,
wasn't worth talking about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
no,
So if for
no,
those
there you
interested,
go.
if you
You're
heard
right.
Big Door Prize, no, I stay away from it. Apple Plus has 100 better shows than that by far. And
Yeah.
other shows coming out, which I'm hoping are better. That
Yes.
being said, we got one movie to talk about. There's not a lot of stuff this week, but this one here, The White Man Can't Jump, of course, on Hulu. This is one, of course, the reboot or remake or whatever of the 90s classic, as far as I'm concerned. Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes, Rosie Perez. I mean, that movie still holds up today. It's still relevant, and the racial issues addressed still kind of go on for the most part, which is in a good way, right? Funny as hell. The situations in that movie were fantastic. The Jeopardy thing and shooting for the sedan. It's just great. If you guys haven't seen it, if you
Peach.
guys had any interest in this version of White Man Can Jump, go watch the original. All right, not to spoil nothing about this movie, but the original I can tell right now is way better, and it's just a much better watch. This one here, I'll say right now, it sucked. I didn't like that at all. I didn't hate it, but man, this is such, and it's hard because you watch them like this, you're gonna naturally compare it to the original. You can't help yourself. I mean, maybe you shouldn't do that. fine. I'm guilty of it. But listen, you take a movie, I'm not going to far say it's iconic, but such a good movie as White Man Can't Jump, and you remake it, you expect a certain level of quality, right? And I like the fact that this movie did some things different as far as from what the story from the original for the most part. We still got this, one guy, black guy, white guy, both players, and they kind of have to team up to make money on this tournament, right? The bare essence of the story is there. But the motivations are definitely, both were potential NBA players, both for different reasons. That failed to meet that goal. Again, they team up. They're in each a bad spot financially, and they try to get paid, and that's how it works, right? This one here. Listen, if you take away the fact that it's not funny, that there's no chemistry, they failed at execution of some of the aspects of like the hustling part, this would have been a good movie. So that tells you exactly what I thought about it. Not funny, completely unimaginative at all. Nothing worked in this for the most part. Some cool scenes in there, particularly with Lance Reddick, who passed away recently. Of course, the greatest concierge in movie history, for those who know John Wick. And it's ironic that in his last two films, he ends up dying. Okay, it's just weird. Right? It's kind of like something surreal about that. He recently just passed, in March, I think it was. I think it was a week or two before John Wick got released. Right, so it was just like, wow. But yeah, it just didn't work, man. And it's funny because a great part of the original is it's not a spoiler, but basically Woody Harrelson, he plays the role of the white guy, right? Who's kind of dorky, dresses that way, and blacks look at him, it's like, this guy can't play basketball, right? White guys, white guys can't play ball. You know how the old stereotype back in the day, we still kind of exist for the most part. But he hustles everybody, including Wesley Snipes, and he pretends to be this dope, and he's actually an ex-college pro and hustles them out of money, and they team up to hustle other people. And that was one of the best parts of the film. And this one, they kind of just bypass that. They go through the hustling people, but they don't get into the hustle and why the hustle is working, right? You're like, well, hold on a second. That was the funniest scenes in that first film was that. Yeah, so this was a big dud. It should never have been remade, at least not in this way. Chew, your thoughts?
No, this is. I sat through it. I was whatever. I mean, it's okay. Nothing, nothing near the original, to say the least. Um, the big thing on the main one, the original one, was the fact that Woody Harrelson said he could dunk, and he couldn't, and that was the big driver. That was the crescendo of that movie, because in there he lost big bet and got in trouble with the Rosie Perez character because he thought he could dunk and he didn't, dude. And Snipes like, you were this close. Until the very end when they go against Papa Doc and he throws it down right for the first time. And so that was the whole thing of the movie. White Man Can't Jump, right?
Of course, yeah.
But it was the relationship. But that was just something. That was that big goal here. It wasn't about that, obviously. But there was just something missing, right? That you look at the original, and this one just wasn't there.
It played it very safe. It tried, walked a little bit with the whole stereotypes, and they each touch on that, but they kind of just brush it off, and that's what made the first one interesting, right? Where it brought them up in a way where, like, and it's not like they're not beating you over the head. It's not preachy at all, right? Just these are the facts, right? Black guys look at white guys a certain way, white guys look at black guys a certain way when it comes to basketball. That whole scene in the original where Wesley Snipes wanted to look good and win second, and and Woody Harrelson's the white guy wanted to win first, look good second, right? But the stereotypes existed there, and they're still made at this point. But they played on that, and that was really cool. Here, this gives nothing. The race could have been a big part of the movie, and it really wasn't, to be honest with you. Why call it White Man Can't Jump? Right? Even at the end of the movie, the one guy, when the guy dunks in, when the black guy, his friends, he's like, well, of course, white people think white men can't jump. So it's acknowledging the quite opposite. What's the point? Then why did you just call it something else? This needed to be called White Man Can't Jump. It didn't make any sense. So it just didn't work. The original is awesome. It's just so good. Kadeem Harrison's in it, of course, who was in a different world back then. It's a great scene. Sizzler. That had a great scene in the intro. A fantastic intro, by the way. Really setting up this whole thing in the beginning was so good. And the whole mama jokes back and forth. I mean, it was great. It was just a great watch. Go watch that. It's such a great movie. It really holds up. And those two guys together had incredible chemistry, which these guys kind of lacked. So big dud there. Can't say I'm surprised. Next one, Apple Plus, High Desert. This one here, we have Patricia Arquette, Matt Dillon. We got Arquette, who is she's a hot mess. It's the best way to describe her. Total hot mess.
That's the only way to
Yeah,
describe
drug
it.
addict. She's her husband's in jail. Matt Millen's character is in jail. Matt Dillon, sorry. And she having a hard time, struggling, obviously. So she decides to be a private investigator, or like pretend to be one, to get some cheese for herself. This build is a comedy. Apple Plus. I like that combo. I don't like this combo. I saw the 3 episodes it dropped. I just wasn't laughing. I didn't laugh.
Yeah.
I barely laughed at all. Maybe one scene here and there. She's such a terrible character. There's nothing redeemable about her. So what are we watching? What is she trying to accomplish? She's just lying to people, stealing or whatever, or conning away into certain situations. It just didn't work. For me, it's just terrible. I'm not watching this show anymore at all. I like Big Door Price better for that matter, but that's another one that didn't quite fully flesh out for me. But yeah, this one's disappointing. I'm off this show. Chew, your thoughts?
No, I agree. It just I'm waiting for the laughter. I'm waiting for the comedy. I think they had one scene at the beginning where the DEA raids a house and they're trying to dump pounds of
Yeah,
pot
and I
on
was
the
like, oh, this
street.
show looks like it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
know.
now we got some
Really,
cooking there.
and that was a highlight at the
Good.
very first
Yeah,
episode, and that's it. And so this is just not. It's just not
it's yeah,
funny. I don't know what it's trying to
yeah.
do.
This is
It's like you say, if it's comedy, it's not funny. It ain't working. It's time to move
exactly.
on.
I don't care. Patricia Arquette could have been the exact same way she is now. I would have forgiven it if it at least gave me the laughs, right? Oh, okay, give me something
If it
so
was funny, yeah.
farcical and out there. Okay, it's fine. I'll dig it, but nah, it's a huge miss. This is a huge miss.
It's a ridiculous mess.
Yeah,
The whole Western
yeah, it's
thing.
terrible.
Yeah, who Brad who plays the detective? He's
Oh,
from
from Everything Was Raymond. Brad
uh,
Gilbert, is that his name?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, Brad
who's
Gilbert.
good
Yes,
usually.
I mean he's a funny
He
guy,
is, but he's just
but
there.
it, he's not. Yeah, exactly. He's just
Yeah,
there. He's just
yeah, he
yeah,
offers nothing.
and
Yeah, this is one of Apple's worst shows. It really is. Maybe it's one of the
well,
not not
no,
not
no.
not
This
the worst show.
we've had some
I'm just
clunkers.
saying,
Yeah, we've had some
no, the Clunkers,
clunkers.
but this is one of the worst shows. That used the worst show this year from Apple, easily. I know Apple has struggled recently, but not to this degree. This is a bad show. I'm hoping the next one, what you talk about later, does a lot better than this. But yeah, huge. Stay away from this show. It's terrible. Next one, Showtime, Ghost of Beirut. This one here was based off true events, of course, true story. It's a thriller, I guess about the U.S. The U.S. was after this Lebanese terrorists, right, who developed a lot of
Mm.
techniques that known today, people know today, where they'd be suicide bombers, etc.
Hmm.
Showtime dropping its first episode only. I'm not sure how many it's gonna be. That being said,
4 episode. It's a four
also
episode
short
run.
one. Okay, I figured it'd be short. So yeah, Chewy, you go first. What do you think about this one?
No, this is interesting. This is very interesting because it's not a stuff. Yeah, I kind of know about some of these events, but not really.
Right.
Right? I remember the bombing of the embassy or the Marine barracks in Beirut. I remember those events, right, when I was a kid, but nothing, the story behind it or the particular individuals or who the terrorist was at the time. And so that's I find that interesting when I get educated on some events and some people and broaden my perspective on things. I thought it was very interesting. It interlaced some real live discussions with some key players in the CIA and FBI and State Department, right? Kind of telling the history a little bit, but then focuses on it's kind of pseudo docudrama,
Yeah.
but less on the docu and more on the drama, right? And given those events, but it's all this one this one guy who's got so many different names, right? Because he's been around for so long and they haven't been able to capture him. He's this unicorn,
Right.
right? That he's
Yeah,
out
it's
there,
like a legend
and
almost.
but
He's
he was a
a myth,
press,
unicorn.
yeah, yeah, but he was a precipice for a lot of this terrorist activities that you mentioned the not the Unabomber,
Suicide bombers, for example.
thank you, suicide bombers, but also setting up these terrorist
Mm-hmm.
camps, right? Because
Yeah,
they went in Lebanon and trying to help Iran and get the Israelis out and whatnot. So this is obviously a very tumultuous time back in the
yeah,
early
of course,
'80s
yeah.
in that region of the world. But thanks. So one episode in and very, very interesting.
Excuse me, I
Bless
had a
you.
little cough there. That was a cough. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm enjoying. I enjoyed the show. The first episode, well done, well
Mm.
executed, very informative. You know, I wouldn't go as far as say it's edgy to see kind of stuff, but definitely a show I think that has potential to really get into
Mm.
it. I'm enjoying it. You don't get a lot on a Showtime, but this one I'm definitely it's a high recommend. This is probably the best show this week, and that's a low bar, but in other weeks it might not have been, but for sure this is probably the most well done, well produced show of the time. So I liked it. It was good. A different shot of show. Not a lot of people don't have Showtime, but if you do, this is. I mean, it's not Yellow Jackets, obviously, but
True
it's a good
that.
show. No doubt about it. So in the last one here, Netflix getting into the act here, and that is of course El Silencio for those Spanish challenged. Muted is what the show is in English. So set up in English anyway. This one here,
Hmm.
we have a young man, a teenager at the time, who gets arrested and convicted of killing both his parents, throwing him off the balcony of a high-rise building. For those 6 years, he finally gets released, but he doesn't say anything, right? He stays quiet maybe to one or two people at best. One of them being his tutor, with the reference to a guy he's released to, and he helps work for. He's a priest or whatever the case is, a man of the cloth or whatever, a man of faith. Now there's a psychologist who is investigating him once he's released, and literally is following him everywhere. Has cameras all over the house. They're following him when he goes outside, and she's trying to learn about him to profile him and all that. And we do learn there's a reason why she is so obsessed, way too obsessed with him, because there's a connection between her and the individual. And this guy's just trying to get life together. And he's just a hot mess. He was part of experimentations with his parents and so forth and so forth. And there's a mystery that they're trying to uncover whether he indeed did or not kill his parents, in a nutshell. This one here, I was only planning to watch a few episodes. My wife started watching it, which meant I had to suffer through a complete binge, because she's a binge whore, and that's just how it goes. But I'll say this: the first three episodes, I was really digging. I like the story, something more interesting. The mystery behind it, what's going on, and how they're maneuvering this, and people he's meeting, encountering, all trying to get, some people want to put him back in jail, others want to help him, etc., etc. They do reveal the connection. I don't know how far deep into it, Chewy, the connection between the psychologist and the kid. I was like, oh, very interesting. I don't want to spoil it. Um,
I want to see one episode,
okay,
so
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like at the
what we
first two
heard.
episodes, I was really, I was like, man, okay, this is really good. And then the end occurs. And the ending, it just things, I don't want to say fall apart, unnecessarily ambiguous, and a lot of storylines are not fleshed out. And even the situation with the psychologist itself was unnecessary, or it wasn't fleshed out. 6 episodes, it should have been 8 episodes at least, and cut some of the stuff off because it's involving dirty cops, which didn't really pan out as much as I would like. The thing with the priest, good idea. It just didn't execute well in the end, so that's kind of a shame. Chew, you said you saw one episode. What did you think about the first one
Yeah.
anyway?
No, I like the first episode, right? Get exposing and everything that was set up. Um, and I knew it was a short show because I see how many episodes it was. But I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I have to listen to you if I'm going to enjoy having to watch
Yeah,
it.
it's just it's hard. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it, but some of the things just seem kind of silly, as far as storytelling is concerned. And again, it built up really well, and I was like, okay, they went here, and how come they didn't do this? And even the ending was unnecessary. Why? I don't know. There's some decisions that will question. Well, I'm not saying not to watch the show, because it is an interesting premise and it starts off well. A lot of cool things happen, and I was really in the first five, and then the 5 and 6 episodes. I'm like, ooh, okay. I wouldn't have gone that route personally. I don't think it ruined the show, but it definitely brought the show down to just an okay kind of thriller we see on Netflix with a good idea, just not executed as well as I would have liked. So I still recommend it. Give it a shot, because again, Chewie liked the first episode, and yeah, it's good. First episode was good. Even the second and third one, okay, it's good. And then, it didn't fall off the rails, but it teetered the rails. It kind of, oh my gosh, on the edge. It's gonna tip over. It didn't. It could have, and I don't know. So that's kind of how I felt about it. Very mixed about this show, which is kind of a shame because it did start very well.
No, well,
But it is what it is. So those are the shows. Again, not a lot of shows, so that's it. So let's set up next week real quick, Chewy. And off the gate, we got on Apple Plus on the 22nd. Prehistoric Planet
Monday.
2 on Monday.
That's Monday or
On
Tuesday?
Monday, it's Monday.
Okay,
Tomorrow.
Monday.
Yeah. So part two, of course, the second season, I guess. Kind of reenacting the history
Yeah,
of dinosaurs, but using CGI, very well produced, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I love season one because
yeah,
it was with David Attenborough, and he narrates a lot of these nature shows, and so they play it off in that fashion. Obviously, it's all computer generated, but it's very interesting. Where they follow particular animals or particular species and their environments, and and they bring it to life, and that's what I enjoy about this show.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good watch on there. It looks really nice. Again on Apple, this is one that is curious, and that is Platonic. Of course, Rose Byrne, Seth Rogen, who I really like. Comedy, Bill Comedy. They're going to drop 3 episodes, about 30 minutes each. There are old friends who kind of reconnect after a while, and people find it odd that the whole woman friend can be friends. She's married, a family. He's doing his own thing. They kind of reconnected, and hilarity ensues apparently. So I don't know. Let's see. If it's better than High Desert, I'll be happy with that.
It should
It
be.
looks
Like,
it looks
they
good.
have history
They
together,
do.
so they have definitely have comedic
I think they were.
chemistry.
Was it Neighbors? I think it was. Yeah,
Neighbors, yeah, Neighbors one, Neighbors
if I'm not
two.
mistaken.
I'm not sure what if they've been doing anything else together, but Neighbors man, that was a funny movie, man.
No, no, yeah, I like Neighbors a lot. So yeah, so this looks good. I'm hoping they get back on track. Apple anyway. On Disney, we have American Born Chinese. I probably wouldn't watch it even if I was gonna be in town for most of the week.
I,
Michelle Yeoh's in it, which I love. We saw her in everything
dude,
everywhere at once.
quick rounds in it, man. Come
I know
on,
it's just
the Oscar winning quick rounds,
yeah,
short
short
round.
round.
Sorry,
Yeah, he
short
is Oscar
round, short
winning.
round.
His
Yeah.
name. But that being said, I like the players in it. It's Disney and it looks terrible. The CGI is awful. I don't know. It's hard to take it seriously. I like my kung fu stuff. We got Warrior coming up. We all know that. I don't know. We'll see. But I probably won't get a chance to see it, so I rely on you to tell me what you think about that one. FX, I know you're into it. I don't watch it as Mayans season, the last season, right?
Oh hell yeah! Last season of Mayans, man. Yes,
Yeah, so that's coming out
the
now.
the Sons of Anarchy spinoff.
Yeah, I love Sons of Anarchy, no doubt about it. And then we have on the 25th the Netflix show Fubar. It's one of the ones I actually do want to watch, and I'll try to get to it.
Ah no,
It's Arnold. I mean, I love Arnold. I mean, we grew up with Arnold. Come on now. This one here is he's a CIA agent or was CIA agent, retired. His daughter is an agent of he's unaware of. She's unaware of his involvement as well, and they kind of come together to create a mission. So it's kind of the mother, father, daughter kind of thing.
I think he's reenacting with Tom Arnold, if I'm not
It's Tom
mistaken, in
Arnold.
the
Okay,
show.
so that I mean,
Yes. So it has a little True Lies sequel vibe
it
to
kind
it.
of does actually. Like I said, this could be hit or miss. So, but I'm curious because it is Arnold, so why not? And the last one is Turn the Tide, of an international show, I believe a Spanish show.
I think it's
Or Brazil.
Brazilian, if I'm not
Well, same
mistaken.
thing. I mean, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying as far as that goes.
Mm.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I caught a little bit of trailer. I guess it's some ship and there's cocaine and whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, a little drug
Yeah,
running,
exactly.
action, international action. So let's see.
Yeah, so those are the. So it's not a busy week for the most part. Like I said,
No,
I'll
it's very
catch
light.
a couple of these, and maybe in a couple of weeks we'll discuss if Fubar is good enough, or even if Platonic is the one I really have the high hopes for.
Yeah, it's good because I think the following week there's only one show dropping that we're even going to mention. I think the one on the incident in Japan with the nuclear reactors. I think it was Days Live, something like that. It's on June 1st, I believe. That's the only thing that I
Okay.
noticed for the
All
following
right.
week.
Well, fair
So
enough. But like I said, we'll
yeah,
we'll reconvene. We should have done 2 weeks with the show, so that's on me actually. But it is what it is. So guys, there's your show today. Not a lot of stuff this week. Some interesting stuff next week, particularly if you're fans of some of these shows like Mayans and all that. Again, we appreciate it. Tune in every Sunday, just not this coming Sunday. Happy Memorial Weekend in advance. Happy birthday again to Chewy. Hitting the big. Keep that quiet. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week.